Joining us now is Tennessee Representative Marsha Blackburn. Representative, thanks so much for being with us under such difficult circumstances. We really appreciate it. What is your message now to the people of Tennessee?
Well, we are all saddened by this, and Tennessee has rallied, Chattanooga has rallied around the incident and the families that were impacted by this. And I think what we have to do is say, okay, this is why citizen awareness is so vitally important. If you see something, say something. And looking at this young man's history, the family, they're in the community, going to Red Bank High School, UTC, getting his degree, and it just shows why you need to raise your awareness and listen, because now we see a network of terrorist cells and individuals that are scattered around our country and around the globe.
It would have been hard, though, with this young man, because he really didn't give out any signs that people in his community, neighbors, people he went to school with, said that he was an all-American kid.
That's right. And primarily it was the online participation. And then the deviations in behavior. We understand he didn't show up for work Monday and Tuesday at his place of employment. His place of employment was outside and away from Chattanooga, exiting the country and going home for a couple of years and then coming back. And I think that those are all items to be aware of. I do think it was really instructive when yesterday you saw immediately the FBI came in and took charge of that investigation. And that was the first clue that people had that this may be something that is more than what they had thought as they heard the initial reports.
Congresswoman, how do you see this attack affecting the issue of national security in Congress moving forward?
Well, interestingly enough, national security is the top issue of concern with the American people. Am I going to be safe in my community? Are my kids safe at school? And I think as we look at what is happening in the Middle East, what is happening with ISIS, the Iran nuclear deal, it all becomes woven together. Protecting our borders, looking at what is happening here in our country. This is something more attention will be paid to. And the question subsequent to that is going to be, do we have the resources where they need to be targeted, and making certain that we are not wasting money, that our intelligence community has what they need. You know, we were talking about the online component. Right. The president needs a strategy to deal with this online radicalization that we are beginning to see. So sometimes when something happens, it provides the impetus, if you will, to begin to make the changes that are necessary to meet 21st century warfare, which is what we're facing.
Congresswoman, Mr. Abdulaziz, in his high school yearbook, put it on his page, "My name causes national security alerts. What does yours do?" But clearly, he wasn't on any kind of watch list. We know he traveled out of the country. I guess the question is, ma'am, how difficult is it to balance national security concerns? Perhaps he should have been on a watch list. Perhaps there should have been an alert when his name popped up, but it didn't, and so he was able to carry out this act.
Right, and you're right about that. And I think the first step, as you look at a strategy, and something the president should do, is look at how you sort through and mine through the information in the public domain. Blogs that are publicly posted, tweets like the one yesterday that are publicly made, looking at the sites that are connected to ISIS. The expansion of social media, whether it is the tweets or the posts on Facebook or the websites or Instagram or any number of applications. This is something where our intel community needs to come back to us and say, it would be helpful to have this set of resources, and it would be helpful to have the ability to work in this way. And the ISPs, the internet service providers, are going to have to be engaged in this also to make certain that the tools are there to handle that information in the public domain, to help the intel community track the conversation and hopefully stay in front of some of these organizations. I will say they have done a fabulous job, whether it was the Bush administration or the Obama administration, of staying ahead and thwarting some of the attacks that they found out, and they were able to go in and therefore arrest people, apprehend people that were online and we're talking about doing harm to our country or our citizens.
To do something like that, Congresswoman, do we have the resources right now at our disposal to do what you're suggesting? Or do we need to expand even greater than we already have our national security apparatus?
I think the question to ask is to the intelligence community, whether it's civilian intelligence or military intelligence, or some of the corporate intelligence groups within corporations. But looking at the government sector is saying, what can you do with the resources that you have as you build this out? And then coming back and saying, what additional resources are necessary? Look at the way technology changes. The life of technology changes about 18 months, every 18 months. And then you have a new generation or a new application. We don't want to do things that are going to be technology specific. What we want to be doing is looking and focusing at the end result. What do we want to gain? What do we need to get that information? This was just a horrific occurrence, and it has taken the town by surprise and in shock and such sorrow in individuals that had crossed paths with this individual or with this family are just in a state of disbelief. But they have done what you would expect Tennesseans to do. They're coming together as a community and dealing with this. Mayor's done a great job. The governor's done a great job.
Representative, while we have you here,
sure.
The opportunity to ask you about something else that has been getting a lot of attention in the news. As you well know, a controversial video was released by anti-abortion activists. You have now called for an investigation into Planned Parenthood.
That's correct.
Why?
We're calling for the investigation into this because, of course, the video clips are out there. There's a lot more video that is there, and I do understand that Planned Parenthood has issued an apology for this, but the representations that the doctor in the video made, this is something that we need to look at. You know, Planned Parenthood gets an enormous amount of taxpayer dollars. Money is fungible. That money is not to go to abortions. An overwhelming majority of U.S. taxpayers do not want their tax dollars being used for abortions. So because of this, it merits an investigation into Planned Parenthood and their business practices. I think their net worth last year was over $1 billion. So we need to go in and look at this.
Another issue, Congresswoman, before we let you go, the president's plan with Iran. What is your take on that? What do you see going forward?
Yeah, you know, I am so concerned about what we have in the deal, and a few specific things. The way the relief on the arms embargo is and the ballistic missiles. Initially, everyone thought that was not there. As you begin to get the agreement and read, you see it. The sanctions being lifted on the front end rather than on the back end after Iran has proven that they are going to make good on these promises. The fact that you still have over 5,000 centrifuges that are there, that they are still enriching uranium. Those are items of concern. I think it's why at this point you have an enormous amount of bipartisan opposition to what we have seen in the agreement. There will be more discussions on it when we return next week, and we'll see where it takes us.
All right, Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, thank you so much for being with us, and our thoughts and prayers with the citizens of your state.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.